Check one, check two. How's everybody doing on this Sunday? Trying to get motivated and getting started. One of those days. It's snowing here. I need to move somewhere warm ASAP. So it's all good. So let's go over our normal thing, going over the videos I did this week at a high level. Try to give time for people to roll in. Of course, if you got any security questions, just drop them in the box and we'll go over them. So let's get started and get going. Let's bring that up. So let's see. Make sure. There we go. Come up. Once again, if you got any questions, just drop them in the box. Just going over the videos I did this week. I ain't gonna even bring it in the slideshow. I did life science. Appreciate the Costco store. You're welcome, Stan. Thanks for the comments on there. I try to do I call that my consumer version. What cybersecurity affects everyday people. What's up, JM? I think the money is with AWS. And all facts, JM. I'm actually that's why I kind of moved over to AWS. I'm studying for the practitioner, which is the first super basic one. So these slides are it's 6 modules for the kind of course I was studying. So I'm gonna change those over to slideshows and bring those to the people. Cause like you said, AWS is the 800-pound gorilla in the private sector and the government sector, JM. I think that's in both ones. Um, I had an interview with a life science pharmaceutical company that just got some angel investor money. So I'm trying to get some of that. So I did a video this week of it's called Life Science Pharmaceutical. It's actually called GXP Productions for the security compliance and FDA CFR 12. And in that video, I just kind of went over our high level from a policy procedure and actually setting up an AWS FDA pharmaceutical company. What would that look like? So I did a video on that, like I said, and I had my little interview with the little startup in Silicon Valley. So it actually went well because they're doing almost zero security. So it was interesting to talk to those guys. It was actually kind of scary talking to those guys. So if you want to get on some of that pharmaceutical drug money, like I said, I'm a compliance guy because any big time security stigging you doing or security for a company is because they report to somebody. FDA, DOD reports to FISMA, HIPAA, uh, Plug 1075 reports to the IRS. So most of those big and PCI for credit cards. So most of those big companies doing those hardening is reporting to a federal government agency. So once again, and then I have a compliance playlist. If you bored, I think I've done like eight different compliances. So I'm gonna try to do them all. The big government compliance, like JM was talking about, is FedRAMP. That's actually NIST 853 in the cloud. It's called FedRAMP. So that's gonna be the next probably compliance one I do. And this was interesting. Apple was actually hashing all your files. Then they take your files and they're comparing it to a pedophile database with porn images of kids on it. But they said the Apple Child Sexual Abuse Material, that's the name of the product on the Apple, was fooled by hackers easily. I just look at the other side. If somebody puts something on your phone or do a certain hash, could you get falsely accused of, child pornography, right? Being a pedophile. So if Apple's going to do that, they need to get that right, right? They on both ends. You want to protect the kids, but you don't want to falsely accuse people either. And I get kind of worried when you take my phone and scan it against a national database, right? So that's kind of a little intrusive on some of my rights there. So there's a thin line between that. That's another video I did. Apple, anything you do with Apple is super hot. And this one right here was super interesting. I might get a team together and do it. Austin has a big HackerCon conference called Pong to Own. If you Google it, you'll see it out there. It's hackers. They're hacking different devices, different companies, and depending on what you get, and if it's a 0-day hack, you get more money, right? So I was surprised. This was the day two numbers, right, of that Synac TV. I think they end up, I think they end up with like a $500,000. Day two, they had $197,500 that they were winning, and in this hack contest. Because companies want you to find the vulnerabilities before the bad guys, right? So they in these contests they pay you for these. I was just kind of shocked with some of the big numbers because I think they said they were giving away $1 million total into that. What's up, Trey Wilson? So I know I might get a little team together see if we could go get a little of this hacker money, right? Because Gabe Aves out there is excellent. Alpha Cyber's out there is excellent in that area. Kenny Conjo. I'm really not a super red team guy, but if I get $197,000, I might start doing a little more red teaming, right? So once again, I thought that was interesting. Really, what I want to do is I'm gonna hopefully teach middle schoolers Python and a little red teaming. And like this is a national contest. They have regional and local contests. I wouldn't mind getting some kids together in middle school, even if they don't get any money. Just take them there. Let them see what the mix is. Let them try to hack stuff. And then once you start in middle school, as you get older, of course, you're gonna get better at your game. And so that's kind of got me interested. Like once again, I think I'm gonna teach a middle school Python class online on YouTube and pass out some books and just do some basic programming. So that's something I'm thinking about. A couple people asked me to do it. You get the recipes? I have not, Trey. I need to work on my health, man. That's one thing I'm behind on, man. Keep asking me though. I got a little bit on me though. I got a little stressful. I've been comfort eating. I got to handle a few things. Then I think Trey, like most of America, January 2022 is when I'm gonna start with the rest of America, and hopefully I don't fail on my never-ending diet. But good looking out for me. Good looking out for me. The other one I just did that he talked about was the Costco. It was just a basic skimmer they found in Chicago. But some of the more advanced skimmers, right? When you actually catch the skimmer, they actually have skimmers for contactless payment, like when you do Apple Pay or Sony Pay and you wave your phone on it. They have wire readers, RFID readers that can catch that. And on the other side, beside reading it, they can actually inject malware into that RFID feed, right? That's why I told people check your credit card, even if you're not in Chicago where it happened. People could be injecting malware, sort of actually replicate across all their kiosk and credit card machines across the whole Costco, enterprise. I guess when I looked it up on this video, I didn't know they were that big. I think they were the fifth biggest retailer. I mean, it was pretty impressive how big they are. And the last part, then we about to get started is um, what are skimmers looking like, right? I should have found one specifically for a credit card, but this one was a bank skimmer. The other one was only a pump, right? So those look, I mean, you can see putting it over the top of it, right? And as you skim it, it's going to steal your money, right? And two, if you do 3D printing, right, you could actually make it look pretty um, realistic. And if you look at all the skimmers, I wouldn't think anything different of it. Just looking at it at the base service. So now the bank machines I do, but I don't usually pay um, with the credit card. And if I do, it's just gonna be I got a small credit card with a small balance on it, and that's what it's meant for. And two is I try not to do my debit card because you're sometimes your bank push back on the insurance of your debit card. But those are all good looking skimmers, that skimmer game. Just looking at them, I'm like, man, I think I would have fell for all those. No, facts, Trey. You 100% on that. I've been telling bros we got to go to the doctor too. Make sure we get our checkups and, like you said, take care of ourselves. Like I said, if you got any questions, we about to go on and start on that little AWS practitioner. Like I said, of course, I'm going to inject cybersecurity into it because that's my thing. So, but once again, like I said, if you got any questions, cybersecurity, just drop them in the box and we can talk about it. So, let me see that. So that's it. Introductory basic AWS. It's more basic AWS than cybersecurity. Yeah, facts, Dan. Oh, yeah, I never trust those gas stations, especially in the hood. Shout out to hood. You never know. They sleep in there half the time. I think they own it with the criminals. I think the gas stations in it with the criminals. So shout out. Yeah, I definitely don't go with the gas stations very often. So let's go and get started. So we're gonna take a step back. I'm laughing because this is what I started programming probably in 1999 with straight client server. So what is a client server model? You just learned more about AWS. It's a recap. A client can be a web browser or desktop application where person interact with requests to the computer server. The server can be Amazon Elastic Compute, EC2, a virtual server. Uh, for example, suppose a client makes a request for a news article, the score an online game, or a video. But in the old days, your code was actually on the client, and you would actually just talk to the server, right? And the server was, on-prem, right? Before AWS and Azure and all those took over cyberspace, your server was on-prem in a server room with air conditioning, be cold in there, right? With a raised floor, that's the old school way, right? With chemicals, right? So let's delve a little deeper into that client server. I was doing Oracle forms and the Oracle database. And this was kind of what I first started with, right? So you would put your light logic on Oracle forms on the user interface with each individual PC. So you could have 300 PCs you had to get your client software installed on, right? Then when you click on it, it will run procedures on your database, right? SQL Server, Oracle. I'm trying to think of some of the old ones that was out back then. There were so many. So the two-tier traditional database client server architecture is based on two-tier. The model consists of a client server, client tier, and a database tier. Processing tasks and application loggers are shared between the database server and the clients. Several disadvantages exist in this model. The client is 10-tier computer models are called fat clients. The processing power and application logic resides. This makes the clients costly to maintain. The clients can be operating on different platforms, necessitating a deployment or a platform-specific version, right? So we used to try to keep application logic light in the user interface, and they would call procedures in the back end, right? But now everything's in the cloud, everything's in there. That's right. I was doing this 1998, 99, and 2000, right? So that's the old stuff. Now we're gonna, talked about, getting the new stuff. So Oracle took their forms and just kind of morphed it into a three-tier application in the cloud, right? So you got your client side firewall, your server side firewall. Then at the top would be your Oracle Forms listener servlet, right? That will run in the browser. Then you had your Forms runtime. Then you were pulling data from the database, right? So once again, the client has no code in it, and I was running a form listener, right? And your code's running on there, but it's all in the data center. If you need to deploy code, you just deploy it on your Oracle Web Logic managed server. You put your forms there, spin it up, right? I don't have to go to individual clients and push information, right? That's super old school, right? Nobody does anything like that anymore. Um, so the next step is how do we make that three tier, right? Everything's got to be three tier. Three-tier architecture is still the way to go, right? So Oracle did your client tier is your web browser was your client tier. Your forms code, which are uh, press a button trigger, forms trigger, new forms button trigger, right? All that code was in the middle tier. Then your database, had your data in it. Then you would run procedures and packages in there, right? Most people don't even run procedures or packages in the database. All your code is usually done in the application tier, right? So there's a big debate between should you do it in the application tier or the database. But well, that's old school moving to the new school. So now we're in the AWS deployment models for AWS. When selecting a cloud strategy, a company must consider factors required to the cloud, application components, prefer resource tools, and legacy IT infrastructure. There are three cloud computing deployment models: cloud-based, on-prem, and hybrid. Right. So when you're going up in AWS, are you going to be all the way in AWS? Are you going to have a hybrid? Most people have hybrid, right? I got still some servers on-prem, and I'm still running AWS stuff that's hybrid, or I'm old school, like we just showed up there. Everything is on-prem, right? So it's AWS, so we want to get as much in the cloud as we can. So, like we said, what is a cloud-based deployment? All parts of the application in the cloud, migrating the existing application, design and build new applications in the cloud. Cloud-based deployment, you can migrate existing applications to the cloud, or you can design and build new applications in the cloud. You can build those applications on low-level infrastructure that requires your IT staff to management. Alternatively, you can build high-level services that reduce the management class. Right. So most people are going to go to the cloud. You're probably going to try to lift what you currently got in the cloud and take advantage of some of the few things that you could do from AWS, right off the box. So on-prem, we just looked at it, before time. Deploy deploy resources by using virtualization, increase resource utilization by using application management. On-prem is known as private cloud deployment. In this model, resources deployed on-prem by using virtualization resource management. So you're still on-prem, but you're still doing VM. You can still use Puppet and Chef to automatically spin up your applications, or Ansible, right, to build automation like you're in the cloud, but you're doing all that, locally, right? So, but too costly, right? We want to get to the cloud. We want to not pay for all the lights in our data center. We want to cut our racks down, our VMs down that we don't need, right? So the goal is to get in there. But most people are going to use, especially when you get started, you're going to use a hybrid connection. Connect cloud-based resources to on-prem infrastructure. Integrate cloud-based resources with IT legacy. In a hybrid deployment, cloud-based resources connected to on-prem infrastructure. You might want to use the approach in a number of situations. For example, you have legacy applications that are better maintained on-prem, or government regulations requiring your business to keep certain records on-prem. I do a lot of government stuff. I've never seen any government regulation or compliance tell you have to do it on-prem. They tell you the security requirements and retention of data, what you need to be able to place it in the cloud, right? So part of the hybrid thing is, once again, you got the on-prem, you got the public cloud, then you got the private cloud, right? So the public, right, is going to be the hybrid. You'll have some on-prem and some off. So I just threw this off because we was talking about this, and a lot of clients using, and a lot of public clients I know using. And this is the hybrid model, right? So you got your Active Directory on-prem on the left, but you sync it to Azure Active Directory in the cloud, right? So you don't have to change your passwords, you don't have to change your policies, right? You sync them. So what you're doing on-prem is pretty much what you're doing on the cloud. And of course, you can add a couple policies in the cloud, but that way you don't have to. It's going to sync your passwords, sync your policies, and make it easier for your workers to work on-prem and off-prem. So basically, this is Active Directory on-prem syncing to Azure Active Directory in the cloud. Then once again, like we were talking about before, even in the cloud, we got our web tier, our business tier is our app tier, and a data tier. All right, this is Azure. I do a little Azure. I do more AWS, but this is actually Azure, and you can actually do this in AWS. You're going to sync your Active Directory on-prem to your Active Directory in the cloud, so you don't have to change your passwords. A lot of your policies and procedures are the same. Right then at the bottom is the jump box, how you work on-prem, jump on your jump box. Then that'll let you work on the web tier, business tier, or app tier. If you're a DBA, web admin, sysadmin, right? So a lot of 9 out of 10, you want to go through a jump box. Why? It's hardened for that specific work that you're gonna do as an admin on whichever tier you want to go work on. So that's definitely a security. And of course, I think week 3 is when we really jump into to that piece of that. So what are some more of the benefits of the cloud? Right, trade upfront expenses for variable expenses. Up Upfront expenses for data center, physical servers, and other resources that would need to invest before using them. Variable expenses means you pay for the computing system you consume instead of investing heavily in data centers and servers before you know you're going to use them. By taking the cloud approach that offers the benefits of variable expenses, companies can implement innovative solutions while saving on the cost. I know vendors were saving 40 and 50% of their on-prem costs compared to the cloud, right? Because if I know my Christmas traffic is going to be 50% more of the volume than my normal, if I got 4 servers, right, I'm going to need 6. But after Christmas, I might only need 3, right, for my normal business, but I done bought 6, right? So now I got 3 servers that I'm paying for and maintaining, right? Where if I'm on AWS, if I got 3 and I need to spin up 3 for traffic, spin up those 3 just in December, get my Christmas bag, then shut down those 3 servers, right? I don't have to pay for it anymore, right? So I get that savings over 10 months, 10 and a half months, instead of me spinning up 3, get that Christmas money, right? But then I have that additional hardware that I own, right? So that's the big difference with going up to Amazon and paying VM and infrastructure costs like you do electricity or water, right? You're only using it while you're using it, right? So that's definitely a big thing. Stop guessing on capacity, like we talked about. Cloud computing, you don't have to predict how much infrastructure capacity you will need before deploying it. You launch the Amazon EC2 instance when you need it. You pay only for the compute power you're using instead of paying for the unused resources and have to deal with limited capacity. Right. So once again, pay as you go, and when you need it. Right. Benefits from massive economies of scale. By using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you get on your own because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers can aggregate in the cloud. Providers such as AWS can achieve higher economies of scale. The economy of scale is translated in lower pay-as-you-go prices, right? Because if I got so many customers, right, we're spreading that out over so many VMs, right? So we're always, paying for it. And then 2 is Amazon started doing this because they were spinning up so many VMs for their infrastructure for their Christmas that they didn't need, right? So that's how Jeff Bezos and them got a 10 or 12-year start. Because when they figured out they started renting out their extra servers during Christmas during a regular year, right? So that's how they actually got into business. And Jeff Bezos was surprised he got a 10-year head start. I remember Oracle, Larry Ellison laughing at AWS. He thought it was for kids and super small businesses. He didn't actually think it was for a viable business. So that's why AWS got a 10-year head start. For gaming on cloud. Oh, yeah, JM Cloud. Oh, I have seen companies that offer gaming on the cloud. Oh yeah, most people are going to put. I was doing work in Silicon Valley. They won't let you if you get venture capitalist money. They're going to make you spin it up in the cloud because if it fails, they can just spin it down. And venture capitalists and angels investors don't want to owe any money. And when you talk about the cloud, especially the metaverse, I think of course Facebook has their own data centers, right? That they spin up like that. But if you're not a big company, you're a small company trying to get in the game, you have to do it on the cloud. Like I said, people, like I said, when I was out in Silicon Valley, everything they going to give you money for, they know on the cloud because if it don't work, they don't want to own any hardware. Right. By using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you get on your own because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers, highly scaled, economies of scale. Of course, I think I just read that again, but yeah, mass economies of scale because you're sharing it with people. That's the cool part. And this is also a good part. Increase speed and agility. The flexibility of cloud computing make it easier for you to deploy and develop and deploy application. The flexibility you with more time to experiment and innovate. When computing for data centers, it may take weeks to obtain new resources that you need. By comparison, cloud computing enables you to access new resources within minutes. So I work for a big government agency, so we have to do requisitions. We gotta send a VM. We gotta make sure the budget spins up. So we gotta wait for it to get delivered. right? On certain circumstances. Where my big vendor, where with AWS, you just give me your credit card and you can start spending. And the cool thing is, we're gonna look at a lot of the resources you can try out for a year before you actually get charged for it to see if you like it. I shouldn't say that. I actually ran a compliance businesses on free software from AWS for a year and a half. All right, so I know it can be done. AKA, I don't want to snitch on myself. So, but yeah, they have free resources out there. Hey, yo, how can you get in the cloud with no IT experience? Asking for a buddy. Um, I would take the proper steps to actually go A plus, Network Plus, and Security Plus. But if you want to get in the cloud, you can go out to AWS, get a AWS practitioner, and just start on it. Then go to the AWS Architect. And AO, that's a good thing. I'm collaborating with some people. We're actually trying to actually start doing AWS projects that we share with our subs. So if you want to get AWS experiments, we're going to do real projects in AWS, and you can help us spin up a VM. You can help us harden a VM. You can help us program the VM. So that person can get real world experience while we're doing our projects. So we learn, they're learning. We can use those projects as an experiment. Then two is people are actually doing portfolio online. You can actually start a portfolio online, and we can put that AWS project I'm thinking about doing and putting that in their portfolio. So if a employer wants to do. So my first one, because I'm a security guy, I'm gonna set up a hardened, super duper safe blue team infrastructure. Then I'm gonna spin it up on Terraform, which is infrastructure as code for automation. Then I'm gonna reach out to my homies, Alpha Cyber, Kenny Conjo, Gabe. Those are some of the top red team guys in there, and I'm gonna have them attack my setup to see if they can hack it. Right. Then two is it's called purple team. We can look in the logs and see what they're trying to do and see if we can block their attack while it's happening. Right. So everybody's learning, everybody's building, everybody's getting skills. Right. So we're transferring along to make people because you need hands-on experience to get a job. So we've been throwing around these projects, like I said, to help people get experience and get in the game. Yeah, just tell them to reach out to me, ProfessorBlackOps at gmail.com. Tell them I'm still thinking about it, AL. I'm building it in my mind. I'm spending a lot of game. I told everybody I've been talking in 2021. I'm trying to be labbing in 2022. Shout out to Dewan Lightfoot. We're going to start labbing every day, man. Got to get our skills up. My favorite people, blind guy, his wife, and their life. Shout out, I've been trying to eat a few salads and vegetables today. Do the servers do servers that are being used after signals gain have to be disabled, or do they just not, or don't compute with bandwidth isn't used? I might not have. No, that's fine. If you're in the cloud, if you're on prem, blind guy, his wife, and their life. If you're on prem, it usually you would just keep those servers running because when you start cutting servers on and off, they don't like that. They actually like to be running, right? So even if you cut them off and not use them, like you already bought them, right? So, but if you're in the cloud, uh, if you're in Christmas, the volume will take it up to 10. You could tell AWS if these servers get below 50%, shut down those VMs for me, right? So at night it probably shut you down to like 2 VMs. Then as your traffic pick up, it automatically spin up 3 or 4 VMs. That's why you want to be in the cloud, blind guy, his wife, and their life, because it works like water. If I need the water, I cut it on, meaning I'm getting a lot of hits on my server. Amazon and say, oh, these two servers are 80%. They running a little slow. Spin up a third server and send all the new traffic over to the third server till these servers get down to 50%. Right. Then when your third server gets down to like 10%, it's going to shut down all activities till they get done, and it's going to shut down that VM, and you would only pay for those 2 VMs, right? So that's how it works, blind guy, his wife. That's why you want to get AWS. So it'll actually figure out how much of those servers you're using. Then when it gets below a threshold, it'll shut them down. But if your two gets above 80%, it'll spin up another one, right? So that's the beauty of AWS. And Tony, how come up with the mitigation strategy? You talk about mitigation or migration? Mitigation strategies because somebody's attacking your AWS Antonio Craps, or are you talking about um, migration? You moving your data up there? You said mitigation, but hit me with another mitigation if that's what you mean, Antonio Krabs. Lab for life. Yeah, I need to get back into it. I've been getting a little lazy AO in my old time. So I'm actually spin up Java Hibernate development platform in AWS and just kind of spin that up, use that from Git, use automation to build the whole infrastructure, spin up my Java database, and then start attacking it right from that full thing. All right, to the crafts, we gonna get that in week 3, but I'll talk to you. It's another slide that's coming up, Antonio, but I'll hit you with it real quick and we elaborate on when I get a slide. AWS has government clients, nation states, Department of Homeland Security. So they got some of the best security. They got web application firewalls to block security. They have Route 52, which if you get a DDoS attack, it'll actually block those attacks coming from the internet before they even get to AWS. When you use software as a service for a database, you can actually pick the level of encryption you want that used for your database, Antonio. So there's a ton of products, and we're gonna get that in there. So and as we touched, and we'll touch on that too, is a slide. VPC, how you configure your network, how you control your network, and I got a slide at the end, and we're gonna kind of highlight the security features. Right, this is just the intro. We got 6 more modules, but we'll touch on it today, Antonio. Going global in minutes, like we say, AWS can enable you to applications to spin up, low latency, customers, application with minimum delays. You can just hit a button and spin it up. That's the beauty of it. But you got to be careful because you can spin up stuff and start to get charged stuff that you're not ready as an organization to use right. So there's a double-edged sword. And two is you want to keep an eye on your developers because they get happy out here because there's so many services and so many attacks. And like I said, I got a slide with a ton of services on there. So Amazon got something for everybody in there. And here's some of the services. So these are the security services and the IM services on their access management modules. You can look those up. So I think that's 12 modules they got. So some of the ones off the top is Amazon Macy's. So if you're using a certain compliance, Amazon Macy's will make sure you're there. Uh, AWS WAF, if you're familiar with mitigation, OWASP top 10 and not top 20. If your coders are not doing secure coding, you might be up for an attack. Amazon Web Application Firewall is going to build in there. Of course, Amazon Networking Firewall, which sits on top of the VPC. What subnets do you have outward facing to the internet? What do you have private? So there's how do you configure that? And we'll talk about that. I hit that in a couple slides, but there's just so many because when I looked at the AWS, I think has 200 services. So I'm trying to focus on the things, especially this is an introduction to AWS. We touching on cybersecurity and for the AWS practitioner, right? That's the baby step, of getting in there. But identity access management, AM, that's gonna be big one. Directory service, everybody's using Active Directory. Um, Where's my other one? Let's see there. Cloud HSM. How are you logging it? How are you looking for attacks? How are you sending email to your SOC team? Right. So these are all services. And as we get in here more and we start labbing, right, we're going to pick the service. We're going to make sure, because I'm a Fed guy, we're going to make sure it's DoD compliant and you can play nice in the Fed space and the government space, right? Because that's where the bag is. So, but these are some of the services. Like I said, we're going to hit them in the future. And some of the services I've been looking at because I'm OCD. I need to focus. That's what my mom would tell me. She passed away. Got to focus. This is still. But we've been talking about the metaverse and how the metaverse moves. So I've been looking at Amazon Sumerian. It's an easily create, run browser-based 3D augmented reality and virtual reality. It brings a new dimension to your web and mobile application, immerse the experience in breath, new life using experience web, increasing customer engagement. You can read the rest, but long story short, I was trying to figure out uh, the metaverse actually used the Open VR SDK for development. So I was trying to see if I could use the Open VR SDK with Amazon Sumerian and see if I can start playing around with little metaverses things to see if I can create stuff, as part of the metaverse, right? How do you get the bag in the metaverse? And once again, this is a free AWS training. You get the on it, and also you get to run this for a year for free, right? So I was gonna try to get the Oculus goggles and see if I can write some VR stuff to upload it, because that's really the basis of the metaverse. If you listen to Mark Zuckerberg, right? So that's one of the things is, and I always look at, and I always start with AWS. They give you stuff for free and they let you try it out, right? Like, what's up, Wilton? I need some steps on how to install a virtual machine on my Windows 10. I want Kali, Windows 10 on 10, Windows 10 on this. If I please, any help will be. I will, Wilson. If not, reach out to my man, Keep It Techie. He's actually the VM expert on there. So if not, I'll introduce you to Keep It Techie, and I'll see if he can help you do that. I'll look it up, Wilton too. But if I need some help, we can both reach out to Keep It Techie. He's the he's the VM expert on the Linux box. But from the county when I was 10. Yeah, I'll look that up for you, Wilton. To look in my I'll put it in the description. I have a folder where I'm putting stuff at. So once I get those installation guides, I'll send them to you, and see how they work. And if you have problems with them, let me know. And like I said, I'll reach out to some people. I got some people at my job, and I got some people on YouTube. I can reach out to you, Wilton, to make sure you're getting the right dress for that. Do me a favor to shoot me an email on professorblackops@gmail.com. It's on my about page. Just send me an email. I'm old. That'll jar me. Got it. Thanks for the explanations. Turn on and off as needed. My type of game. Oh, that's true. That's cool. What's up, Peter? Peace. So, yeah, once again, I'm just going to go over some interesting services I thought that was in the Amazon has, and I don't think people realize where I'm usually talking on panels and I mention it, and people are like, huh? So I always start with AWS because they give you a lot of free stuff you could try, and they give you a lot of videos to actually how to help you get started, right? The other one is shout out to my man, engineering cannabis. We're always talking about blockchain, AI, and that part, and actually the VR. But so Amazon has their own blockchain database. Amazon managed blockchain is fully managed services that make it easy to join public networks or create managed scalable private networks used for popular open source framework. So they're using Hyperledger, Fabric, and Ethereum as their SDKs for programming on their blockchain. Blockchain makes it possible to build applications with multiple parties and execute transactions without the need for a trusted centralized authority. Today, building a block scalable chain network with existing technology is complex to set up and hard to manage. To create a blockchain network, each network member needs a manual provision hardware, install software, and manage for certificates to access, control, and configure. Right. Once the blockchain network is running, you need continuously monitoring infrastructure to adapt to change. Right. So Amazon once again said, we got that. We're gonna do the heavy lifting for the blockchain network. So now you could create using code a smart contract. Right. How do I, create a smart contract? How can I create an NFT, which is a big deal, right? Of a piece of art, right? And hash it to, well, I'm the only person on the digital world that has a hash to this art that I can sell it through blockchain or Ethereum. All that stuff sits on top of the blockchain, right? So there's stuff I've been looking at. And from a cybersecurity perspective, realistically, right, blockchain is an immutable database. So if you do your audit records, that should actually go on a blockchain because it physically couldn't be deleted, right? When I go to a SIM or do my local logging, if the hackers get to that log or to my SIM, they can delete that. If I write it into a blockchain database specifically for auditing for my particular client or government agency or whatever, right? You cannot delete that. You can only add to the blockchain, right? The physical. So that's where the cybersecurity parts come in, using some of these technologies and how they're going to work in real life. Once again, I just like the name of it. Amazon Quantum Ledger Database, right? We're talking about quantum computing. How's that going to work? Maintain a mutable, cryptographical, verifiable log of data changes, right? So that quantum ledger is sitting on the blockchain. We just look, right? So how do I use that ledger to say, I logged in at this time, I deleted this thing, I moved this bank file, right? The bank person, they got it and retrieved it. All that information is getting in the blockchain so we can figure out the movement of data. And we talked about um, uh, Black Heights drugs, right? So when you sell drugs and you move them across continents, sometimes people are using counterfeit drugs, right? The blockchain will let you know that each particular thing happened when it was supposed to happen and didn't get derailed, right? So that's why I just like the name of that Amazon Quantum Ledger, right? Once again, Amazon giving you features. When I was on Women's for Linux, shout out to them. We were talking about quantum computing. Amazon's already starting there. You get 1 hour simulation per month. Each work with different types of quantum computers and circuit simulators used consist set of development tools, build quantum projects on a trusted cloud with simple pricing and management, innovate quickly and expert guidelines, right? Quantum physics is so new that if you probably had just a few projects on it, right, you probably would get a job because there's so few people that understand it and even wrote small applications that could run on a quantum computer, you know. Because from a cybersecurity, we fear quantum computing because when you brute force a 2048-bit RSA key used to encrypt money files, it'll take 10 years to do it on a regular computer. With a quantum computer, and I spent a forum, I could probably do that stuff in 4 days with quantum computer. So they're trying to figure out how to help that in the future when you deal with encrypting keys and hashes and all that, right? Because the speed of quantum computers is gonna make that easier to break, right? To a high level, I just want to touch about, like I said, it's the introduction to the introduction of the AW class. So I wanted to touch on a few services I think were unique, things people talk about in this area where they want to get the bag and secure the bag. Amazon is giving you some of that stuff free for a year to get the bag and lab every day. Shout out to AO Lab for Life, right? Amazon's giving those tools to do that. So more of my 2022 is setting that up in Amazon free for a year, lab every day. Then us building it, us doing automation, us hacking it, us attacking it, right? Because you got the blue team and the red team, right? Red team's offensive, blue team is defensive, right? Stig, CI is checked. We're gonna lock it down. In the middle is the purple team, right? How do you handle the application? Right? You're gonna have web servers, app servers. We looked on that 3 tier. That's the purple team. They specialize in protecting the database. Right? You assume the infrastructure good. You assume Amazon's got the infrastructure. So you assume if you focus on the application, right, that's going to be the softest part in your organization. Once again, if y'all got any questions, just shoot them in the box. We rolling. Um, when you get started with AWS, there's 3 ways to do this. The first one, AWS Management Console. Manage Amazon Web Services through the AWS Console, a simple, intuitive user interface. You can also use AWS Console mobile applications quickly to view resources on the go. I would never use AWS Console mobile because I think telephones are so insecure. So if I'm on a project, ain't nobody using no phones on my project. Shut down the phone game. I'm old and grumpy. So now we just gonna be on your laptop or maybe your iPad, right? Because there's certain stuff, phones, kids playing on them. Nah, we're not doing AWS console. That's why I put it in red. We blocking it. Console overview, discover, experiment. Well, like we were talking about, over 150 AWS services, many of which you can try free. Build your own cloud-based application in any AWS center throughout the world, and manage and monitor users, service usage, health, and monthly billing. Right. So that's what we're going to set up. We're going to set it up, monitoring, look at the health. And two is if the bill gets so big, I'm just going to have it shut down that that VMs stuff for the month till we get back on budget. Right. So that's why people start. And like I said, when we start in 2022, we're going to start with the management console, spin up what we need. Then behind the scene, it builds your file so that you can go back and put automation in there with Terraform, right? And we'll walk through that too. So the command line, I'm an old school Unix guy, so I'm always on on the command line on the black screen, right? AWS command line interface CLI is a unified tool to manage using AWS. With this one tool, you can download, configure, you can control multiple AWS services from the command line. and automate them through scripts. So that's the key right there. We want to get our automation down with the CLI, because when you get to the big boy level, we're gonna spin up 200 VMs. Like my man Antonio said, we need to make sure what GPOs we doing, what how are we mitigating the attacks, how are we stopping DDoS, right? We can have that when we build up our environment every time, because we're gonna have to build a production environment and a test environment, right? And you're always gonna need two environments to test it. AWS CLI V2 offers several new features, including improving installers, new configuration options such as AWS SSOs, and various interactive features. Right. So AWS single sign-on. So when you go to other services, you automatically logged in. I'm always a little iffy about that single sign-on. Why? Because if attacker gets your credentials, he can automatically assign to all your services you have set up. Right. So it's always a discussion, right? And two is I'm a programmer. Inside your programs, you can build infrastructure or have those connections so you can automatically authenticate yourself using your Java, right? If I'm a bring up my JavaScript, there's an AWS DK for Java. So as my web service connected to my app server, AWS has hashing data to check to make sure your applications is generating those connections, right? They're validating, right? So they got them for C++, Go, Java, JavaScript, .NET, Node.js, PHP, which I keep saying I'm gonna teach the kids this summer, Python, and Ruby, right? So behind the scenes inside that code of SDK, it has built-in security. So when you spin up a connection, it's called a nonce. It generates a 50 character um, data element. So when you once again your web server goes to your app server, it knows that that nonce is supposed to be at a certain level and a certain number, right? To validate it came from your web server, right? So you're not doing any SQL injection or cross-site scripting or CSRF inside there, and we'll get into those a little later in this AWS class too. So, and the three basic things for security, and they talked about the three models from AWS part is infrastructure as a service. So what is infrastructure as a service? That means I'm using bare metal, right? So they just gave me the Linux or the Windows, right? They just gave me the metal, and I'm spinning up what Linux version I'm doing. I'm spinning up what Windows version 2016, 2019. They just give me hardware. So infrastructure as a code. That means I'm responsible for everything in my architecture. It actually set up the bare metal, right? That's infrastructure as a code. Right. The next level is platform as a service, meaning I'm running some software on there, right? But I'm running a web server, but I got to put my code, my HTML inside the web server, right? But they're gonna run the Apache or the IRS for me. They're gonna patch it, so the only thing I have to worry about is that code in there, right? If I'm running Tomcat as a Java guy, right? They're managing Tomcat as a platform, so I still gotta put my Java in there, right? So I'm still responsible for the Java. They're responsible for the Apache or the IRS. But really, where you want to get to, if you can, is software as a service, where they maintain the whole side stack, right? They're giving me a MySQL database or Oracle database. They're patching it, keeping it up to date, making sure the disk drives are optimized. The only thing I got to worry about is just my table and my data inside the database, right? So if I'm using Java to insert it in the database, they're maintaining the database 100%. So I got to go in there and create my tables, create my privileges of who can see what table. I'm still responsible for my I am in that particular thing, identity access management, right? How you get in, what roles you get in, right? But I don't have to worry about the database, right? The beauty of it is Amazon's going to do that. I don't have to worry about IIS, Apache, or Tomcat. AWS going to do that. I just have to worry about my code, right? And when you're a business, infrastructure and platform, you don't really care about that as a business, right? You care about your intellectual property as your code or your data, right? That's really what you care about. And that's why AWS is winning, because they're going to handle all the heavy lifting of the stuff you really don't care about. I care about Red Hat, but I don't care about if AWS is going to take care of it for me. They're going to patch it, make sure I'm up to date. If there's any vulnerabilities, they're gonna let me know. They're gonna put it in their WAF and make sure those blocks. So where AWS takes care of that, a lot of that heavy lifting for you, right? So it's a shared responsibility. And there's another slide we're going to look at, depending on if you use infrastructure as code, platform as code, or software as a service as code. So when we get in Metaverse, right, it's going to be software. They're going to handle everything. You're just going to put on your VR goggles. You're going to go in there and do your thing, right? So that's software as a service at the highest level, right? And this is what I was talking about. AWS, depending on what he was using IIS, PaaS, or software, right? It shows you what AWS handles, responsibility of the cloud, right? They doing software storage, database, hardware, global, regions, availability zones, edge locations. Everything is in orange is AWS. Everything in the blue is you as the customer or me as a consultant. So I always laugh because I get a lot of clients because I look at a lot of um, plans, security plans, SOC 2s, SOC 3s, security plans I've had to review. And I get a lot of small vendors saying, I'm good, I'm in AWS. Number one is, that tells me, number one, you have no idea what you're doing. Number two, this tells you AWS got the orange player, you got the blue. So what security documentation do you have in the blue? Right. And I see a lot of small business and people don't know what they're doing. Oh, I'm in AWS, I'm secure. No, you're not, right? You still have work to do. And that's one thing we're going to, start fleshing out as we go through this AWS basics, aka the practitioner 101, and start drilling down into that. Because they actually, module 4 is the security module. Of course, we really going to get deep there, but we're just going to touch on it as part of this. Here is what architecture look like for an AWS. Shout out to Antonio. So at the top, we're gonna, like I said, hit it real quick. When you do www.com and your company name, you go through DNS Route 3 and Edge caching. DNS Route 3 is gonna, if you have denial of service or for nation states trying to send too many packets to you, DNS routing can route you to another data center, another part of the world, right? As they take care of those routers that are located out on the internet, right? Like we talked about, Blind got his white load balancer, right? One part of our applications are here in that block, the other is there. What this doesn't show you is in Chicago, availability zone 1 is a data center. Availability zone 2 is a different data center. For some reason, one of those data centers goes down, gets hit, power gets cut, or gets hit by an airplane, you will automatically roll over to your data center 2, and your web tier code will already be there, right? That's the beauty of Amazon. If you design your application right, that load balancer will fell over to a data center. And we'll get down to availability zones or regions in different parts of the United States, east, west. There's one in Chicago, there's one in DC. And in that zone, they usually have 3 data centers that are 50 miles apart. So you can spin up your application in that zone with those 3 different data centers. And they have sub-millisecond dark fiber between those zones and those regions. Right. So if one of your web server goes down, it's going to fail over so quick, you're not going to even know it, right? We're going to dig more into that. Like I said, we just touching that. The same thing for your application tier with your Java. Then downstairs is your database. You have your master and your slave, right? So your master is always syncing up with your slave. So if you need to go through a whole nother data center that's in that region, you'll hit your slave database and you continue running, and you won't lose a beat. Shout out to Textual Chatter. That's my guy. We had a great he let me on a panel yesterday. People go subscribe to him. He's definitely doing some big things in the house. But yeah, so that's the zones with the 2 data centers, and we'll dig more. I think module 3 is going to dig more into the AWS. So at the top, we got the DNS. So if you get the denial of service, Route 53 can help you. Elastic Load Balancer is above, right? It's going to handle you with multiple data centers in that region. Same thing with your application code. Then you got your master slave database, right? So I tell people you have one region on one side of the coast and even a separate region that you have on another coast with just maybe one VM running in each one. Because theoretically, You're not going to use that unless you get hit by a bomb in the middle of that region and it takes those 3 data centers out, which is going to be super rare. It's going to be super rare. And two is we'll talk about that later. How does that help your incident response, your disaster recovery, and your business continuity, right? That's a different module once again, and we're going to spin up into there. We're just getting into the intro for the practitioner. So I just want to put a few more cybersecurity stuff, even in the basic stuff, right? So let's see what we got. This is it. Just how to keep your data safe. The AWS infrastructure puts strong safeguards in place to protect your data. All the data stored in highly secure AWS data centers. And I think in our next module, we break down and talk about this data center, their cameras, their backup power. They have so many protections in there. Everybody's badged, and depending on what data center is, because I do a lot of government work. If you go on an Amazon government center, all their workers have to be in the United States for the government center, and they have to do an FBI background check. The reason I know, before I could get in and look at it, I had to have an FBI. And those background checks are fingerprinted. So, second one is meet compliance requirements. AWS manages dozens of compliance programs. We talked a few about those. Save money, cost cut by using Amazon data centers. Scale quickly with the Amazon cloud. So. Well, I see the low balance keeps you because your additional servers are clouded with facts, facts. Blind guys, like they're usually not quiet if they're in the same data center. I have one working, so when one customer come in, they go to one data center, the other one could go to the other data center. So you probably have 2 and 1 in each data center because you want to keep them working. Right. So, but yeah, so that's it. And like I said, we're going to deal. I think next week we deal more into the actual data center and actually how they're protecting that. Also, make sure you read the policy, the cloud providers when it comes to digital. All facts on that, Jay. And that's good. I think we're going to talk more about that. But also make sure you read the policies of cloud providers when it comes to digital forensic. That's true because a lot of times, depending on it, they won't let you do digital forensics because you sharing that box with 15 other customers, right? It's one big box, and they're giving you a VM of that box. So you definitely need to understand, like JM says, what is your requirements? Digital requires from the forensics. That's why a lot of government agencies actually go to the government cloud. You get a little more in-depth forensics if you need it. A lot of times too is Amazon's just going to say you've been hacked. You need to be saving your own files inside CloudWatch, right, to be able to figure out what happened. So that's a good thing. And we're going to dig down more into that. What logging you're doing, what alarms are coming out your cloud, who gets those alarms, and two is if you're Rib Shack, do you need them? But if you DoD, what level you need them? So we definitely, gonna get into and get into that more, JM, and actually cut that up. How can you find how can you find out the data centers in your country, locals? No, you good. You're good. If you look actually on Amazon and just do data centers, they have a map, and I'm actually going to show that. I think in next week I'm going to show the data centers around the globe. They got some in Japan, some in Brazil, some in Europe. Amazon's got data centers around the planet. So, well, next week I think that or the week before that we're actually going to show all the data centers in the United States and actually all their data centers around the world. And two is they got commercial data centers. Then they got FedRAMP approved commercial data centers. Then they have government approved data centers. So they got 4 levels of data centers. So we're going to touch on each one, what benefit it is to you. And when you do a government data center, you get less services, but those services are heavily more checked for security problems. And a government data center is expensive. And the other part is, I'm leaving out, you have to be invited to come to a government data center. Like one of my clients were working for the IRS. They were doing something special for the IRS. So the IRS wanted to use their software. So they invited them into government cloud because you got to be invited by a federal agency. So once they invite them into the cloud, they could put their software in there and test it. But then the FedRAMP, I'm doing a video and I did a NIST 803. It's about 1,500 pages of documentations you need to come in to get in the FedRAMP cloud. It's 20 policies, 20 procedures, incident response, DR, government, then the system security plan. How are you doing your AIM for each security family? So, and we're touching base on that. That's how I eat well. That's why I need to get more vegetables in the rib shack. Shout out to Klein guys. But too, so we'll talk about the levels of the data center, why you would pick one or the other, right? For that living. So that was the introduction class, and I'm two is go check out Amazon Bracket for quantum computing, Amazon Quantum Ledger. I'm thinking about playing around with that for some of the logging from perspective. Amazon Bracket, I was chopping it up with Women of Linux. She's all on the Amazon. Shout out to her. So she's talking about quantum computing. So once again, Amazon gives you a lot of free services to let you try for a year because they want to hook you in. Because when you buy it, they're gonna eat on it later. So they'll cut you a slice of it off and let you develop stuff in there. The quantum ledger again. Bit blockchain. Shout out to my man. Engineering cannabis. You can Java. You can program you a smart contract on the Amazon managed blockchain, right? So those are some of the things we've been talking about um, in the um, in the space, getting the bag. But we got to lab every day, lab every life. Now, how do you get it? So these are some of the services, like I said, I'm starting to play with or just trying to get my feet wet to see, you know, how to understand it and really how to get it. And then Amazon Sumerian, once again, it's the browser-based 3D, augmented reality, VR. I was trying to see if I could program on here, then upload it to the Metaverse. Try to get a little of that Metaverse money, right? So that's all I got today. Here's some of the services for the cybersecurity and the access management piece and the compliance piece. And we're definitely going to touch on this. I'm going to do probably at the end, we're going to start digging into each one of these from a practitioner standpoint, just an overview. We ain't going to code in it, but I think, especially if we talk about cybersecurity, we need to understand each one of these services, at least at a high level, so we can bring that to work, talk to that about vendors, and figure out the best way to do security in AWS. The Rib Shack matter too. DoD security matters more. Shout out to the Rib Shack protecting the credit cards. Shout out to everybody. Everybody have a great Sunday. Everybody have a great week. Hit me up at Professor Black Ops at gmail.com. Check out Textual Chatter. His streams is cool. I'm sure we're gonna be collabing a little more, and I'm gonna definitely be over there supporting him in the mix. So, have you done any work on Amazon Mechanical Turk? No, I have not. JM, I'm basically I'm doing the practitioner. JM, I'm taking baby steps, man. I do a lot of security reviews in Amazon, so I understand the security part. The VPCs from most people know I'm a professor in real life from a theoretical level, and I know what compliance is looking for from DoD and IRS, right? What they want you to do. But I'm going to start labbing every day so I can catch up. JM, I'm behind too, so I have not. Oh, that's cool. Help me check out the replay. Just leave a comment on the box if you got anything you want to hit on that was in there that you need clarification on. But yeah, Jay, I'm gonna start picking them out. Like I said, I'm starting off with the basic. We're gonna VPC it, do some configuring, do some automation build, set up the DNS, like we did, set up the VMs and the VPCs in different data centers, right? For availability zones, so we can make sure we can fail over from one data center to the other. Then we'll fail over from East Coast to the West Coast as part of that test, right? So how does that move, and how does that actually work from a cybersecurity? So JM, I'm trying to get up to speed on that too, from a really an architectural standpoint, right? So I want to be able to build an architect point that I know is DoD certified, Department of Homeland certified, and just trying to get in there, JM, to be honest. Like, keep up the collabs. You're going, you're going up, show that you work. But I appreciate it, and I just want to. Yeah, I'm growing. I'm getting close to 900. I'm at 850. But shout out to the people. I'm grinding, but shout out to Textual Chatter, because he brought me on his platform. He's much bigger than me. A lot of people, shout out to you, blind guy, his wife, and their life. I was on your platform. The community's just been so nice. Black Heights, Kev Tech with his 25,000 people let me on. There's so many people. Amazon Cloud Data Center. Oh, shout out ACDC. I never thought about that. But yeah, blind guy, his wife. Like I said, the community. Like I said, I want to bring my OG status in my 30 years in to help people, help them grow. Then two is I always tell people if anybody need anything from me, you just hit me up. I've been thrilled and honored to help people and let people have me on their platform. So I want to thank everybody else for that. Like I said, I'm close and rolling downhill. So I'm close to a thousand. I'm just trying to get a little dinner money. I'm not trying I'm not trying to get to 100,000. I'm just trying to get a little steak money on a month. And shout out to Blind Guy, his wife. I'm gonna get the salad with the steak this time. Get the salad with the steak. So shout out to eating properly. That's all I got, fellas. Hit me up. I try to go live Tuesdays and Thursdays a little more. I think I was actually on Black Heights and I was talking about the bad parts of the metaverse and that went well. So I think I'm gonna do the live stream of what I think is gonna be awful about the metaverse after we get the bag, after we secure it. But that uh, that chat I really enjoyed it. The negative things I've seen that I think are coming for the metaverse. So I'm gonna do a live stream on that. 100% facts, Helman. 100 facts. We gotta help each other, and that's why I want to start actually doing labs. People want AWS experience. I'm definitely gonna invite them in my lab and gonna go through the setups. I actually have and I'm gonna put it in my couple things. I have the 100 DoD checks to secure an AWS setup. So I'm gonna share that with everybody in a couple weeks, and that's what we're gonna use to actually set up the AWS VPC and service we're gonna do. Thanks, Helmet. It did get fire, man. I think I was getting a little dark on the what's up, Sil? I think I was getting a little dark on the metaverse, Helmet. I was getting a little dark on the metaverse. I had to bring myself out. So I think I'm gonna do metaverse and I'm gonna have me as on the Dark Lord. Shout out to Kev Tech. I just gave him a shout out. We were talking about people sharing platforms. I definitely want to give a shout out to Kev Tech. He's up there with 25,000 sharing his platform with the little guys like me. He's always in there. And I always tell people help desk is a great way to get in IT and to definitely get in the cybersecurity because you need soft skills and KevTech's gonna help you do that. He's gonna get you into Active Directory and Amazon and yeah, no, as he's an Azure guy, he's doing more Azure stuff. But I learned a lot. I was on his Azure. Listening to one guy, he had some segments which were killer. So everybody's helping each other. Even though I got 30 years in the game, technology moves quick. Me and CL works together. Man, we on Azure, AWS, Active Directory, syncing it up, policies and procedure. Just cybersecurity alone is a big domain. So I'm not arrogant enough to think I own the domain. I've got a lot of experience, but I learn from everybody. Like I said, CL just got his CISP. I'm debating if I want to get mine. We chop it up every day, man. We have great debates, and I learn from him. And he just not really getting in the security game, but he's younger. He learns a lot quicker than me. I'm old, so shout out. So I'm not arrogant to think I know everything. So like I said, Kev Tech that Azure series he gave was excellent. Like I said, I understand what it looks like on prem. I understand what it looks like on AWS, but Azure was doing it a little differently, right? So you're always gonna learn from everything, and you're gonna learn from everybody, and that's what I said. I'm a lab more like Kev Tech in 2022. I've been talking in 2021. My goal is to lab a little more. Lab every day. Shout out to Dewan. Lab every day and make that happen. That's all I got. Check the replay. I'm glad everybody came out. This is gonna be my normal time. We're doing basic AWS. I'm studying for the practitioner. So as I study, I build my slides to help me study. And I'm going to bring that information on to you. And we're going to link those together. Then, like I said, 2022, we're going to take these slides. And hopefully I'll be studying for the AWS Architect. And we'll be doing lab every day for the AWS Architect test. And we can study together. We can just learn together. Whatever y'all want to do. So that's it for me. I'm Grigo. See if my team is winning or losing. We were winning a minute ago, but I enjoy this. Like I said, I've been a professor for going on a decade. So it's all good. Now I think my chance has come to study. Oh, that's good, Wilton. Study more, like I said. And two is let me know. Like I said, I'm doing AWS now, so I mean, we're gonna do that, move that into cybersecurity. Then I'll probably do an intro again later on next year to rehash it out for new people and just we just build onto it too. So everybody have a good weekend. Like I said, I'm great. Give me something to eat with a salad. Shout out to a blind guy, his wife, and they're like, give me a little salad in there too. I'm out. Everybody have a great day.